Danny Meehan and Dr. Mason West.
Welcome in to this episode of Bare Bones. I am Mason West, and as always, Danny Meehan is also here to share in our trials and tribulations. How you doing, Danny?
Doing good, Mace. How about yourself?
You know, I was doing great until a little bit earlier today when we got the news, because, you know, it was a great day. We talked about this a little bit in the green room. You know, we both had a solid day today. Everything was fine. We have football coming up, college football this weekend. A week from today, we have NFL football for realsies instead of the preseason stuff. And then we get blasted in the face with the news that Micah Parsons has been traded to the Packers.
Just, it's unreal, but it's like, it's how, it's as a Bears fan, it feels like it's almost like par for the course to some extent, right? It's like you can never have an off season where you're fully like, this is awesome.
No, of course not.
You
have to have
like
something
who,
in your scoop.
like, I'm never gonna live down thinking that Matt Eberflus was like potentially fine hire who at the very least get you to A to B. I even said in the moment, it probably wasn't the most glamorous hire, but it was probably a reminder of stability. This is what the Bears did and the only successful, consistent run they had in my lifetime under Lovie Smith. So maybe it was that feeling of comfort, like they're going back to something I know and I understand, but like it wasn't like an awe-inspiring hire. It was fine, uninspired. It was uninspired, if anything. And last year was like just a kick in the nuts. Like where you're like, can you just fire the cowardly coach and do this again? You got you're taking Caleb Williams once you had the number one pick locked up. It's like, can you just, and they couldn't do it. And it was like they waited a year too long and it just didn't feel like the right time. So it's like no off season can feel like as good as it should. Even like the Khalil Mack thing, like that was all like a hope and a prayer that Mitch took the leap. And
we can kind of tie that in to a little bit of the Green Bay point of view on this for sure. So Cowboys, obviously, like we just said, were traded Micah Parsons, who is an all-pro, and you don't really see trades like this, but anyway, to the Packers. Then the Packers agreed to a 4-year, $188 million deal done by David Mogoleta and Andre Odom of Athletes First, which includes $136 million guaranteed. At $47 million per year, Parsons is the highest paid non-quarterback in history. What did Dallas get back? 2 first-rounders and Kenny Clark. 30-year-old Kenny Clark, who needs to be paid soon. So, you know, there's 2 points of view to talk about with this. One is just kind of the run-up to this, and I don't know how I think I know how you felt about this, but in the back of my brain was kind of like, man, if there's a team that's going to do this, it'll be the Packers just because of the amount of space they had. But I really didn't think this was going to happen. I thought it was going to be just like with Dak, just like with CD. You know, it's the eve of the season, and hey, look, he's signed to a deal. It's crazy, but it didn't happen.
Especially Mike Mason, because they just, you said it, Penn. You factor in the Cowboys docuseries that just came out, where Jerry says on episode 1, he likes the Cowboys to be a soap opera. It seemed like it was playing straight into that, and it was just like, wow, they actually made the trade. Now, I will say, kind of like you were alluding to leading up to it, I never thought that they were going to move him. But something, well, now that it's happened, something to consider is this is a massive, massive gamble on the upside of the bipolar quarterback.
Yep.
Jordan Love is a roller coaster. You don't know who you're getting or what you're getting or on a week-to-week basis. Like, he averages out by the end of the year to be like the 10th or 12th best quarterback, let's say. But averages aren't all created the same. Like, if he's every week the 10th or 8th best quarterback, fine. But he's not. Some weeks he's the 27th best quarterback. Some weeks he's the 3rd best quarterback.
And exactly like you're saying, There were some weeks where he's the 5th best quarterback in the league, right? He's not necessarily Mahomes, he's not Allen, he's not Lamar Jackson, but he's in the conversation with what he does. And then there's other weeks where, as you were talking about, and you look at it and it's like, what are you doing at it's your 22nd best quarterback in the league. That was a terrible interception, things of that nature. He likes to do this weird back pedal throw off his back foot in the pocket. It looks like it should be interception half the time, and it's not. A lot of good ball luck. And you have to factor in last year, and at least if I'm trying to be real with myself, that last year he had the injury in Brazil, which slowed down that year. And then he did end up having another injury later in the year, specifically in the Bears game, which, that changed that game a little bit. So I'm not naive to that with the Bears winning that game. So who is the real Jordan Love? Is he the Jordan Love from 2 years ago, the back half of it? Because that was, the one that smacked Dallas in the playoffs. Or is he somewhere in between? Because let's say he ends up at quarterback 16, right? Quarterback 14, which is not a bad quarterback. That's like, you're talking Baker Mayfield territory, and I'm a Baker dude. But is that enough when you're paying 2 players as much as you're paying between Jordan Love and Micah Parsons now? When you don't really have a wide receiver 1, we have to see what Matthew Golden ends up being. You have holes in your secondary, and you've already seen that your defense, that's filled with first-round picks, has not necessarily lived up to that standing.
I agree. And you factor in other things like he's now got the thumb injury that he just underwent surgery for, right? Mm-hmm. So that was his non-throwing hand. Correct?
I think it was his non-throwing hand.
I think it was his left hand, but he's still not, like, when you hand off left, you're usually doing your top hand on the ball, so handing off to your left. And he's not doing that. Like, it's a lot to, like, ask of him. Like, I guess he was under center the other day, but it's like, it's a work in progress. And we just don't know. I think we may have already seen the best of Jordan Love's capability that was a couple years ago when he was, like, consistently, like, had Bears fans, even, like, ones with the highest platform, and, like, Robert Mays on the Athletic Football Show, like, they just did it again. They found another one who's just this level of player. And that's not to say, like, anything bad, but it is to say that peaks, the best of your career sometimes happens early. Justin Herbert, who I think the world of, still hasn't repeated his rookie year.
He has not taken the next step, yeah. So yeah, it's not all doom and gloom. I mean, yes, the obvious immediate reaction is, man, Micah Parsons is going to eat against Braxton Jones and all that jazz. And he's going to get his. He is. Micah Parsons is a very good player, fantastic player. There's a reason why this drug got as long as it did. There's a reason why on the Twitterverse, every fan base was trying to figure out, could they be the team that gets him? But, it's more than just the one player. That doesn't take away from what the Bears are trying to build. That doesn't take away from the Ben Johnson of it all. That doesn't take away from the Caleb and the Luther Burden and the Rome. And you can go on and on. We're not going to talk about running back right now. That's a future problem we'll discuss in the show probably. But but that doesn't take away from the good things that they have done. And at this point in time, luckily also, you don't play the Packers early. So figure that out later.
Yeah, that's mid-year Bears problem, not early Bears problem.
Exactly. All right. That's the Packers bit. We're going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get into the Bears. All right. So we are here to discuss and I put in quotations here, final 53, because even after I did a bunch of notes for the show, it's changed. So I had to go back in and change more stuff. Basically, right, as we know, there is the quote-unquote final 53, and we're going to react to that and have a discussion. A couple highlights just to go over what's kind of happened since that occurred. Travis Homer and Amon, I'm not going to say his last name. I'm going to ruin it, so I'm sorry, Amon O. They both went on the reserve injured list. Terrell Smith was also placed there as well. Zach Frazier went on the NFI. They activated Jalen Johnson, which you kind of have to do just to make sure that he's potentially available for week 1 off the NFI. They waived Zach Pickens and Tyler Scott. They signed a slew of individuals to the practice squad, including Maurice Alexander, Miles Boykin, Britton Brown, Steven Carlson, Xavier Carlton, Power Echols, Luke Elkin, Trey Flowers, Jonathan Ford, Mekhi Garner, Tano Kapasangan. I ruined that one too. John Rickroma, Jordan McFadden, J.P. Richardson, Stromberg initially. Today, they added Nikola Kalinick. Didn't think we'd have a Nikola on this team. Dante Manning, who's a defensive back, and Javarius Owens, who's also defensive back. And then they released Luke Elkin and Mekhi Garner from the practice squad. Part of that, they originally had released Scott Daly and Devin Duvernay, claiming DeMarco Jackson and Jalen Jones off of waivers. And then the Bears re-signed Scott Daly and Devin Duvernay, placing Austin Booker on IR, waiving Carl Jones Jr. Austin Booker will be out at least 4 games.
Austin Booker, man, that was like, I know you had heard that he was okay, and we also had heard from a couple reporters that, yeah, he's fine. Like, it's just give it time. Then all of a sudden he ends up on IR, and it's like, clearly something was a little more awry than any of us had true idea of. I had a feeling Duvernay was coming back, personally, just because who's returning kicks otherwise.
Because I think originally, before that happened today, they had Josh Blackwell listed as their main kick and punt returner, and Burden was the backup punt returner, I believe.
Yeah, I don't. As much as Luther Burden is a rookie, I don't want to risk him on return duty if I can help it. So
it's interesting. I mean, that's like, I guess, like we're kind of just going to jump around here in this conversation, y'all. This is a very fluid, like, we're just going to have fun with this in terms of the 53 and what some outlook for the season. So that's actually an interesting point, because I would expect, at least early in the season, that Olamide Zaccheaus, who you saw was kind of a safety blanket for Caleb in those first two games, if you want to call them that. So he's going to definitely get his run, and that's going to reduce the number of snaps that Luther Burden gets, as is the number of 12 personnel that you run will also reduce how much Burden's probably on the field. So does it not behoove you to get him touches and active by maybe, it's only maybe 3-4 times, but punt returns in a game?
Yeah, call it anywhere between 1 to 3 on a maybe 4 on a busy day. Like, hey, it's okay. Sorry, my wife is leaving out to a wine tasting, so I get to be dad and got to keep the dog quiet. But yeah, I think it does behoove you to get him touches, but he's got some of that don't let this dude get on the field energy.
He does.
Like,
he absolutely does.
Like, because it's like, I'll be the first one to tell you the pick of it felt frivolous in the moment. And it's because, I watched way too much college tape during the draft season for someone that's got a wife and kid that I should. But Luther Burden's tape was littered with, if he wasn't designed to be getting the football, he didn't care. He would actively just check out on the play, show a disinterest. Now, that could have been some of the Mizzou quarterback was awful thing. It could have been that Mizzou really wasn't competitive in and of themselves on the whole. Like, there's a number of things that could have played into it. That clearly hasn't been the case to this point in Chicago, where he's blocking his ass off, frankly.
It's blocking wide receiver porn, watching him block in the red zone.
It's like wide receiver teach tape for blocking, which is not something I'd ever thought I'd see out of Luther Burden. And that's not a slight to him. He just didn't show that at Mizzou. So my advice to Olamide Zaccheaus, Rome, even DJ Moore, don't let him get on the field, because he's gonna snatch your chain from you, and he's not gonna give it back.
I would expect a faster trajectory than what you saw, and not that they're related in any way, just in terms of feeding into the offense over time versus just being a stalwart there. Like how Jameson Williams was. Obviously, Jameson's was injury and gambling were his issues, but you saw that right away he didn't, wasn't primarily a receiver. He was a lot of the gadgety stuff and just more the design touches. And I would expect that
or
to
be the
case
sacrificial X.
Sacrificial X, that was another big one. So I would expect that to be the case to an extent. And then, of course, there's going to be some times where you want to get OZ a break, so you're going to have throw Burden in there. I mean, you're going to be some times like, yes, you can now, and this is going to connect to, a future conversation. You might have DJ Moore take some snaps either from the backfield or reverses, things of that nature. And so maybe you want DJ to come off for a couple plays, things of that nature. So now all of a sudden you're going to have Burden come in.
Yeah, and to your point, Mason, like, you're also going to see Ben's going to get in his bag. We've already seen reports of DJ lining up at running back, which I think that speaks to a larger issue at hand as we were kind of alluding to earlier. But Ben Johnson's creative. He's going to use players in certain ways that you didn't see before.
And from just a general discussion now for the Bears 53 as it sits, and this is just still a living, breathing thing. It's going to keep changing. A couple interesting things, right? Jade Walker ended up making the team. People thought maybe initially that was a bit frivolous just because he did well with Tyson Bagent, but you saw what he could do on special teams. If you go back to his time in college, he was a special teams guy, but he was not a receiver first. I mean, he was a football player first. So that was, a bit surprising and delightful addition to the 53. Daniel Hardy, edge, ended up making it. And that's, I think, just because you're sorely lacking at edge, especially with the Austin Booker injury.
Don't look at the edge roster, please, for the love of God.
And again, potentially conversation for a little bit later when we get to the preview part, but performance from the edge group was not great in that Chiefs game. Even if there was a penalty or two there, I don't care. You still have to create some form of pressure on Mahomes. Again, as I mentioned, Carl Jones Jr. did originally make the roster. He was an undrafted free agent last year, so that was kind of cool. And then now he's gone very quickly. Quick time on there. 10 offensive linemen being kept as the things currently sit, and probably Crown Amagaji is the one you circle as maybe the one you're the most surprised ended up making it there, because when you ended up taking out your starter in Tooney, Luke Newman was the first one to get the nod. Ryan Bates was not there. You're thinking at this point Theo Benedict is going to be your swing left tackle, and then you're going to have Ozzy Trapillo kind of your swing right tackle. So they've had Cron working inside as well. So he seemed like he might have been the odd man out, but he stuck around.
Yeah, I'm shocked Cron stuck around, especially when you heard the reports of him being tried at guard. It's like that's like a last ditch thing for a guy, specifically of those dimensions, like big and tall, these like tree vine arms, like just super like long and tall. And they're trying him inside. It's like, oh, that feels like the Death Note. Like I honestly thought Bennett was going to be the guy that they would be like, all right, we like him everywhere. He can do a little bit of everything. And truthfully, I know it's against guys that are going to be working at Walgreens in a few weeks or Hertz or whatever. Like, he didn't look awful when he played at left tackle, despite the super short arms.
I was gonna say he's got some short, stubby arms, which is unfortunate.
Like, yeah, he's got the T-Rex, William arms going on from New England. But like, I don't know, man. I feel like this roster is still incomplete just looking at it. Like, it just something doesn't add up. They only got 26 on defense right now, right? If memory serves.
Something of that. I mean, so before we go to defense, so they kept a third tight end. Fine, it makes sense if something were to happen. Knock on wood to Cole Kmet or Colson Loveland, you still need another tight end to be able to run this offense how they want to run it. The three quarterbacks, I don't know, whatever. It seems a little superfluous to me, but Ben loves the room. And he doesn't want to potentially lose Case Keenum to another team who wants a backup quarterback. So I liked the Case Keenum signing in the first place because of the mentorship that he could give Caleb. So I'll live with that. But the thing we alluded to earlier is the running back room. And you looked at what happens at the waivers. Right now they're carrying DeAndre Swift, Roschon Johnson, Kyle Monangai. And things were pretty much set up at this point with Roschon's injuries, things like that, and lack of development over the last couple of years for Monangai to be your innings leader between the tackles. Monangai's had some injuries now, and you had a bunch of guys, Britton Brown, Ian Wheeler, they brought Royce Freeman in off the street, whatever he was doing, just to do some stuff. And then the waivers came and went. One running back claimed in waivers, very interesting. But then you did see guys. I mean, I know you're a big, and I'm like I'm probably tier 2 below you, Audric Estime guy, and I thought maybe that would be someone they were interested in. He ended up signing a practice squad deal with the Eagles. You can sign wherever you want to, of course, but it just seems that the Bears were not interested in the running back waiver market, and that surprises me.
It surprises me too, because I just can't imagine that anyone in that building is looking at the roster, not even like as like it is like fully healthy being comfortable. But this roster isn't. The running backs aren't healthy. Like DeAndre Swift is fine. Like he is what he is. He's frustrating. He's uber talented. Like I would posit that in terms of just the sheer ability to play the game of football when he's in open space and things like that, DeAndre Swift's probably one of the 10 most talented players in the league at his position. The problem is he's indecisive, he lacks vision, and he's just...
I disagree with you entirely there, but
frustrating. Like
I can't call you a top 10 talent person when you just don't play the running back position.
It was in the open field. When he's in the open field, it's unreal.
I'm good with that. Just like, and when I think about running back, I'm like, you don't run the ball though.
He's a wide receiver caught in a running back position, is what he is.
Yeah.
But then you're like Roshan John. Can I count on Roshan for anything at this point?
Which sucks because I know you and I were very high on him, not just coming out, but when he got onto the Bears, and he just has not. The concussions thing is one thing, like it's hard to prevent and it's hard to track. But now it's a foot. Yeah, that's just a whole other thing.
And Britton Brown, whatever, happy for you kind of thing. Welcome to Chicago for the time being, I guess. Travis Homer, I think, is probably, in terms of value to the Bears, probably your second most valuable back because he's a good pass protector. He's a good pass catcher, but that's running back 3 on a good day. Like, and I know you and I had our differences on Ian Wheeler in terms of what we saw. Like, I didn't see many NFL traits aside from he's fast, which is cool. Like, you need speed, but like they didn't even bother to bring him back, which I found.
I think that one's more related to injury, if I'm being completely honest.
Is his knee not back?
Just because, like, I mean, he didn't play in that Kansas City game, so I don't think it's as much like. It's not like, hey, you're bad enough, like you're on IR or something like that. Obviously, like that's not that case, but it's like it's just you're not fully where we would need you to be. And to what you're saying, I think there's just a vast difference. I know I've butted heads with people on this, where I'm not saying he's a top 20 even running back. I'm saying he's a guy you can hand the ball to with speed, and if you block for 4 yards, he'll get you the 4 yards. He'll hit the hole that he needs to hit. And that's been a problem for the Bears for a while, going back for years now. Like DeAndre Swift was bottom of the league in rushing yards over expected. And some of the, the Roshan stuff that's just more injury and usage. Like I was always very surprised that the last regime didn't use him more between the tackles and only use him in short yardage. But yeah, it's just odd. The whole thing is odd.
It feels clunky almost, I guess is the word I would use.
Good way to put it.
Like nothing like I joked that they're gonna make this like I thought that they were gonna at least claim 1 or 2 running backs to try to make this like Dr. Johnson signs running back room of just this is the island of misfit running backs that kind of fit together because they all do something a little bit different. But they don't fit that way. They're just not, and it doesn't help that none of them are healthy. Like, and I thought Estime was a shoe-in because it's like you could at least use him in that like short yardage big back thing, and he's got history with Declan Doyle, but I know I've said on this very show, history with a coach can go 2 ways. Like it can either I want that guy, or you can be like, I don't. I want nothing to do with that.
That is a fair point. When the now offensive coordinator, who was tight ends coach, but was on that offensive staff, is not pounding the table probably to get you in there, that's not great.
Yeah. So I thought like, I shouldn't say I thought I have some inclination that they were in on Kenneth Walker, but that was before McIntosh went down. And then McIntosh went out for the year. And I was like, well, the Seahawks have a great deal of depth. George Holani, I really liked the idea of had he got cut loose. That's just a one cut, get up the field, use your vision. If you kind of like what you said, 6 yards is blocked up, he'll get 6. It's not going to be great, but it's better than what you got. And he didn't get cut. And they cut Damian Martinez instead, which
apparently his stuff is more off the field, bit of a head case.
His is definitely from what I can gather between the ears, because as much as I love Kyle Monangai, Bears fans have run away and hid in terms of what they should expect of Kyle Monangai, in terms of what he is and what he isn't. But I think Monangai was my running back 17 in his class of the 30 I evaluated. I had Martinez, I think, at 13 or 14. I don't have my rankings pulled up in front of me, but that's where I had him. Like, he was a legit, like, that guy would have been pushing for probably running back 2 or 3 in last year's class. This year's class was just silly deep, which, again, baffles me as to why they didn't take one.
And then there's other names too that were available during this period that you could have put a claim in for. And you saw after with that list I read and how they managed it with, dropping Duvernay, adding Duvernay back, all that stuff. There's ways you could have gotten someone to your roster. I mean, like, there's
53.
Yeah, like, so, not all these guys are like world beaters or anything, but people that at least maybe or in the, like, again, could just be that innings eater that we keep talking about, things like that. I mean, like, you have the DJ Dallases of the world. Miles Gaskin I want nothing to do with, but Ernest Johnson's a functional running back. I like Frank Gore Jr. From the Bills. I think he could have been a guy that could have just carried the ball for you. There was another name that I had, now I'm blanking on it, but like Pierre Strong, kind of ish. But anyway, there's like a bunch of people that were still available that still would fit. Oh, another one of your guy, Izzy Abanikanda.
Abanikanda.
He's another guy that would have absolutely fit that role. You could have did a homecoming with Khalil Herbert, bring Juice back. So there's
even Zach Moss, but Zach Moss is broken.
His neck's still broken.
Yeah.
So long story short, there were people you could have brought in. So they must feel pretty confident. This is the long way of saying this, in Roschon Johnson's foot and Common on guys, whatever he has, because we have no idea what the heck he's dealing with. And we'll see. We'll see if, the last thing I'll say on that's frustrating. I know, and Ben has been on record saying this, his offense, he wants the same things to look different and the different things to look the same. But it's hard to do that when you have DeAndre Swift, who is not a great pass blocker. And so you don't want him necessarily in there on passing downs. And then you're going to have, Roschon and or Monangai in there. And as of right now, like, again, we don't really know what we're getting out of them because we haven't seen Roschon this year, nor have we really seen Monangai this year, as we don't know what they're going to do. My last impression of Monangai was I think the first preseason game where he got blasted back in pass protection a couple times, even though on tape.
Yeah, Monangai. I even remember, it's funny that you say that because I remember the con it said willing, albeit ineffective pass blocker.
He throws his nose in there.
He throws his nose in there. He just can't, set or hold or, he's in the way. He's a speed bump. But
last thing on offense before you flip over to defense, because I know you wanted to obviously talk about that. Chris Armstrong had said a second round pick to have a backup right tackle was just a completely boneheaded move from Poles. So I think obviously there's a whole Poles discussion. I'm not getting into the Ryan Poles of it all. I'm just going to talk about the pick specifically. You took a tackle in the second round who played most of his snaps at right tackle after playing some left tackle. And we're hoping that he could get all of the mechanics to switch back to the left side in one offseason, when rookies in general tend to hit a rookie wall at some point, is a lot to digest in one offseason. Them saying, hey, Braxton is our best choice, which they haven't even said yet, but that's probably the situation, what's going to happen, is not an indictment of using the second on potentially, and I said this, someone that might still be your left tackle this time next year. He just needs time to be able to do more of a chance to do the switch, would be my thought process.
Yeah. My fear is, and this is probably the Bears in me, the Bears DNA flowing through. My fear is they're going to flip Darnell this offseason to justify the Trapillo pick and have him play his more natural right tackle. Because once he was flipped to the right side of Boston College, he was never even given a shot to go back. And the part of it is, and I'm a Poles cynic, I'm a Poles critic, I'm not a fan. It's whatever he's here, it is what it is. The long and the short of it is, two things can be true. This fan base would have bitched, moaned, and complained if they didn't walk out of round 1 or 2 without an offensive tackle. The problem with that is you can't bitch, moan, and complain and then look at the context of second round offensive tackles and say, oh, well, I can't believe this guy didn't pan out. Because historically, second round second round offensive tackle prospects don't pan out. So it's like a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. And I understand why Poles made the selection in and of the moment.
And the people who keep pointing to the Josh Simmons of it all, like, I want to rehash. I said specifically that due to his knee injury, I would not take him at pick 10. And a lot of other teams told you the same damn thing with that, letting him fall all the way to the Chiefs pick. And I remember specifically saying I was a fan of potentially using your seconds to trade up into the first round to go get him, because he was the value at like 29 for the sake of random numbers was worth it. Now the Chiefs got to sit there, take a dude. They had already obviously signed. They had some people at left tackle as options, Sua Monteia, all that jazz. They were able to slow play it, and he's looking good right now. My thing was always more long term. What does that knee look like? It's not about this year and can he play this year. It was always more about what does he look like in year 3, year 4, and does he get to a second contract? So for everyone freaking out about not taking Simmons at 10, you need to stop.
It's the same. It was the Jonathan Allen argument coming out of Alabama years ago, when they found out he had double arthritic shoulders because of all the problems he had, and they're like, "Well, it's going to be a problem." Like, yeah, not right now. Later, it's going to be. Like,
we saw he missed a bunch of time in the last couple of years, specifically last year.
And again, I'm not with trading up to fill holes. This is not something that I have in my DNA, especially because now moving forward, you're going to be at the pick accumulation. Just start throwing darts, because you should have your base going forward. But moving on to defense.
Defense. So, it's the thing that sucks. In general, you want to build from the front back, right? Inside out, all that jazz. The Bears have taken more of a route where they went from the backside in. So, most of your heavy pick investment has been in the secondary, the Jalen Johnsons of the world, the Jaquan Briskers of the world. And if everyone is at full force, you're excited about it.
Mm-hmm.
You need a left tackle now, not next year. Oh my God. I'm done with this conversation. Anyway, sorry. I keep getting distracted by the chat. If everyone's at full force, you're happy with it. It is a good, potentially great, depending on how you want to look at it, secondary. Problem is, Jalen Johnson came in obviously with some type of soft tissue injury. I have my theories. Jaquan Brisker is a question mark until proven otherwise, just in terms of if he can stay healthy. And Tyreek is, again, a question mark in terms until he shows that he can use the talent that he has. Now, all that being said, your defensive line is they got no pressure on Mahomes, like none whatsoever. And I get it. You can't the measuring stick of Mahomes and that offensive line they have, which is a solid line now that they've actually added to the tackles, it's not nothing, and his mobility is a lot. But man, Dio Odengbo did nothing on Friday.
I really do wonder if you're going to see a lot more of your bookends being Sweat and Dexter, and your interior being Billings and Jarrett.
I can see that.
Because I can't. Mason, I thought I put way more into the underlying metrics that we saw with Dio, and I did like Dio coming out of Vandy. I'm not going to sit here and hold you on that, but man, when you're going up against second string tackles and you aren't getting any push, it's like that's some time, because you're the 18 million dollar a year guy. You should be pushing them around.
And if you go back, if you remember, he didn't participate in the spring stuff. Like every time we were hearing about mini camp and all these things, his name never came up, or he wasn't even in shells and all this crazy. Like, so what's going on there?
Right. And was he hiding something that was bothering him? And now he's not close to football shape, and you're going to be seeing him the first 3 or 4 weeks trying to get into football shape, kind of thing. Like, I just genuinely don't know what the answer is.
Now, on a positive note, the Bears have been vocal to local, to national media, all that jazz, that they've been very happy with Montez Sweat in the summer he's had. And that people who are here before, like mainly the training staff, see a big difference in him compared to like last summer and the health that he had last year, which is great. We didn't see it on Friday, but whatever. It's a preseason game. I don't care. However, if it's Montez Sweat, this massive question mark of Dion Dangbo, and now someone that you thought was going to take a step in Austin Booker, who led the league in sacks in the preseason, despite only playing in 2 games. Again, yes, it was against a lot of backups, things like that, but still, that's nothing to scoff at. Now you said don't look at the edge depth. We're unfortunately having to look at the edge depth. I mean, you're talking Dominique Robinson and Daniel Hardy. I know I just made you throw up a little bit, but
just there's no answers. That's the problem when you see people like saying they need the left tackle right now or they need to fix the edge right now. You don't fix the exterior of your lines with just people. Edge defenders, there's a reason why after quarterbacks that edge defenders and defensive ends are edge defenders and offensive tackles are the next highest paid positions. It goes, you pay your quarterback, you pay the guy that protects the quarterback, and you pay the guy that kills the quarterback. This isn't hard, guys. Good edge defenders don't just grow on trees. And you could make a heart right now. I would argue you don't have anything above someone who's merely good. We can't say that Montez is very good or great right now. Not after last year. I know he was hurt. But that's the baseline we have.
Yep.
We don't have.
I'm undecided. I'm right in the middle, and basically whatever happens this year is pushing me.
But no, I'm saying he's good. But you're paying. Yeah. I don't want to be paying $25 million. I don't want the Bears paying $25 million a year for
good.
Good. You got to be great. That's edge defender 1 money, or close to it at the bottom tier of it.
So at this point, with what we're looking at, Austin Booker is on IR, so he's missing a chunk of the year. And that. So how, I guess 2-part question. I assume, you're calling Jadeveon Clowney / the Darius Smiths of the world? And B, do you think that would actually happen? Is the Bears roster in a position that one of those guys would be like, yes, I'm going to go there? Because they tend to either A, follow the money, or B, follow the ring chase. And I'm not sure there's enough of either one of those specifically for the Bears.
The one that makes more sense if you're going off of just body type history is Jadeveon. Big, long, and strong. And he's been fairly good. He's been a
plays the run very well in the last couple of years. He plays the run very well.
And even a couple of years ago, I think he had double-digit sacks for the Ravens.
I think so.
But like you said, do the Bears have $14 million to just be like, hey, buddy, you interested?
They got to do something, man. I don't know what, but they got to do something.
I don't know what it is either. And then, we don't need to cover too much about the defensive back depth. It's if it's healthy, you're talking one of the best rooms in football.
And I know that again against the Chiefs, you saw Nashawn Wright had a rough game, but it's the Chiefs, man. There's a lot of defensive backs going to have rough games. I think he's solid depth to have. Nick McLeod is solid depth to have. He's had a really good camp, actually. It really sucks Terrell Smith is not going to be a part of that conversation, but you could be a lot worse off. I mean, your starters could look like the Green Bay starters, for example. So yeah. Yeah.
Should we get into the linebackers?
Is there a talking thing to talk about with linebackers? I mean,
we need to really nip this Ruben Hippolyte thing in the butt. I don't know who's lying to people saying this dude's awesome and everywhere on the field. He's very fast. He's going the wrong way 75% of the time. It's just, woo, Ruben's going somewhere, guys. Whee!
I can't remember who you talked about this with. It was in a draft profile 2 years ago or something like that, where you were like, he's a heat-seeking missile. You have to point him in the right direction, but the problem is he just has the wrong guidance. I can't remember who you talked about.
I think that was Drew Sanders coming out of Arkansas.
I think Ruben, in a way, is like that, where he's tons of effort, tons of speed. It's the physicality is all there. It's just he's not in the right spot. And now, obviously, if you're going to make a mistake, I'd rather you make it fast. But I do need more out of him if he's going to be worth. I mean, it wasn't even that big of a pick investment. I don't know what I'm saying.
No, it wasn't. It's more just the running back thing. You wasted a 4th-round pick on this when you could have picked a running back. Pick a back, any back. I don't care. Which I think we have enough intel that was given to us, I believe, through Jeff Howe at The Athletic, that said the Bears were planning on taking Cam Scadaboo in the 4th round. until the Giants took him and they got sniped on him.
I don't know if I could have honestly handled the Cam
Scatterboo
of in Chicago.
I would be merciless about it.
like just every blue collar, like that's my guy. Like, oh my, but and not just even Scatterboo. I mean, there were still some other players like because they traded back, right? Yeah, so they Scatterboo, they traded back. So other players that went in the 4th round at running back, Trevor Etienne, I really liked. I would have been a fan of Woody Marks high stand up. Dylan Sampson really didn't fit because he's a little too small, but that would have been an interesting-ish one. Point being, like, if you really were motivated to, you could have made that pick. You chose to go with Ruben Hippolyte at a position, Sam, that is no longer really a starter. So when he is out there, he better not mess up.
Truth be told, for all the accolades that we've seen fans give Ruben, I would attribute those to Sewell. Sewell's played well. Like, he's coming downhill. He's
looked a lot better. A lot better.
That's a man who looks like he figured out what he's comfortable doing, and he's just doing it. Like, we knew he wasn't the best athlete coming out of Oregon. We knew he was best just coming downhill. That's why I speculated that if you could have made him like to do a throwback comparison, like the Roosevelt Colvin Sam rush linebacker under Dick Duran, where he's technically a stand-up backer, but he's more of a pass rusher. Well, I'm happy for him. Do I think he's going to be a star? No. But I think he's going to be your quote-unquote starting Sam, and it makes me feel a little better that if either Tremaine or TJ inevitably go down, I don't feel as bad like then flipping TJ or Tremaine to the middle and then having him play weak side a little bit, if that's what it came to, or vice versa, or putting him at the mic and then putting the more athletic guy you trust on the weak side.
No, that makes sense. And then there was reports out of camp. The day that I was there, I saw this as well. Tremaine Edmonds looked better than what I've seen in the past. Just a little more immediately attacking downhill instead of just I feel like when he was in the Eberflus defense, it was more because he had to play almost that Brian Urlacher, I'm in the way of all the passes role, that his lack of instincts were very apparent because the decision between whether I'm going downhill or whether I'm dropping back wasn't great. In this defense, it's a little bit more just go. And so you don't have to rely on your instincts as much. And so I think that helps him.
Yeah. I mean, if you tell me he becomes Pete Werner and how he attacks, which is just a version of a linebacker that he used down in New Orleans, I'd say that's a successful transition. I just don't know what you're seeing in practice is going to translate to the skill, because he was a guy that never wanted to do that at Virginia Tech. He didn't want to do it in Buffalo, really. Like, remember, he really is a guy that got paid based off of what you thought he was going to be. And like 7 games where Von Miller was still that dude coming off the edge. And then when Von died that season, Tremaine forgot how to play football again.
Like, I can't speak to that. Obviously, it's not like I'm in the meeting room with the linebackers, but if Vince Carter can become a 3-point shooter, I think Tremaine Edmonds can become a just go get the ball.
Yeah, go hunt, kid. Go hunt.
It's a mentality. I mean, defense in general is a mentality. And if Dennis Allen speaks Tremaine Edmonds, then you can get that out of him. That's what good coaches do.
I would prefer if you learn to speak Xavier Legette, personally.
No one can speak Xavier Legette. That's a whole other thing. All right, that is the 53-man roster preview. Quick break, and then we're going to do a bit of a season preview, and then get out of here. All right, season preview. This is pretty quick. It's just going to be basically some categories we're going to run through, things that we are looking at in this upcoming season in general, nothing super specific. So the first one, this is flip the switch. What might flip the switch on the Bears season? So basically, one aspect that might decide whether this is a playoff team or whether they're not, something of that nature.
Caleb. It's really that simple. If Caleb's good, I think the Bears are going to be really good.
That is an option, yes. And a true one. I mean, the team's going to basically go as far as he allows them to.
Yeah, I mean, what would you attribute one to? Like, Ben Johnson being the play caller we all dream him to be? Because I do think we need to have the conversation that if he's only 75% of the play caller that he was in Detroit, that's a regression because he's had responsibilities put on his plate and he can't focus on certain things the way he wants to.
No, 100%, absolutely. So I mean, like, I guess mine was very similar to yours, actually, to be completely honest. But it was more. I went one step further specific. Funny enough, kind of what we were just talking about with Xavier Legette and Tremaine Edmonds. Can Ben Johnson speak Caleb? And I say that because Caleb has all the things that you would want out of a quarterback, right? He's got the wiry arm, the arm angles. He has shown that he can play with timing. In college, he showed the deep ball. He has shown that he can go through his progressions, all of those things. He's shown you the crazy scramble stuff. And then when I say can Ben speak Caleb, it's can he articulate in a way why play A needs to happen in this way 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Where in the last year we ended up seeing it was 1, 2, 3, oh no, and then sack. So just basically can you get Caleb to see the game through his eyes and channel the talent to be not to be Jared Goff, obviously, because that's insane, but to play on time.
If you can give the guy who's already a backyard playmaker the ability to play within the pocket and on time, you've got something special. So you and I said essentially the same thing, just in very different terminology. Yeah.
Really, my pause was because I was trying to think about wait, that's pretty much the same thing. I was just processing it.
I was like, am I wrong?
No. I just was processing it. What quite intriguing, just something that we're intrigued by, more curious on, in a kind of a positive light. Mine is the usage of 12 personnel. So basically, since the Patriots ran out, Rob Gronkowski and he who shall not be named, teams have been trying to say we're going to do 12 personnel. We're going to.
They had Voldemort.
Yeah, basically, we're going to be multiple, but no one's really been able to do it because they either run into the problem of you don't have an actual, Sam Laporta, Rob Gronkowski athletes who can actually, when they break out into a nickel or dime defense, is actually a mismatch. Truly that extra safety cannot guard this tight end. There's very few tight ends that have been able to do that. Or you've had problems where one, if not both of your tight ends, have a problem just blocking. They cannot hold up in line. Now, Colson Loveland's a rookie, and we don't know anything yet, but even the small bits we've seen in his time in Michigan, A, he's a very willing blocker. B, he's got super long arms, which is great. And C, he's got the frame to put more mass on. And so when you combine all those things and what we've already seen, I think he can be a good inline blocker or good enough. And we already know Kmet is pretty solid. I think he's in at least the top half of the league in terms of a
I would say if you're doing it's hard because tight ends just aren't inline blockers the way we traditionally think of them anymore.
No, but not the Marcedes Lewises of the world.
But if you're saying on an A to F, I think he's a C plus, a B minus as a blocker, and that's fine. He's enormous and he gets in the way.
And he's not going to be this crazy separator or anything like that. But we have seen that he's his own version of separation, usually boxing out and enough route running suave that he can get up the seam and do all these other things. So I'm very interested in the 12 personnel because I think the Bears actually have a duo that can do probably the closest to what the Patriots did.
I'm interested to kind of answer your question in the Dennis Allen schematics, the stunts, the false pressures or pseudo pressures, and how he gets sacks. Because if you look traditionally outside of Cam Jordan, he does not develop pass rushers. No. It's a lot of scheming guys to where the quarterback inevitably ends up, whether it be a linebacker or Brian Bresee for some reason is cleaning up the sack, which is hilarious. Brian Bresee had 10 sacks last year, but a sub 60 PFF grade, which for those who don't know how PFF grading actually works, a 60 is an average NFL player. So somehow he dialed up double-digit sacks, but wasn't an average NFL player by their standards, which is utterly hilarious to me.
You
but
got
that's
sacks,
what I'm
but
most.
everything else you did, terrible.
He doesn't do anything. He runs into sacks by oops.
Which that's exactly what you're looking for with how we've described this edge group. Just 3 more categories here. Excited is an understatement. What is something that you are very excited about for this upcoming season?
I mean, how could it not be the Ben Johnson offensive scheme? Like, just straight up, like, they got the guy who is the play call. It's his system. It's not Matt Nagy being poached. It's not Adam Gase, who you know is going to be losing a job or leaving for his own job. It's a guy who theoretically is some concoction of Shanahan meets Sean Payton in terms of what he believes and what he teaches.
And you have non-theoretical evidence of that because he had the top 3 offense that he made for 3 years in a row.
Right. So that's probably excited is an understatement because this is the way you're supposed to build an organization. The Bears just did it a year late. They got the quarterback. They got the transcendent quarterback prospect. They got the play calling head coach who is the system. He's not a disciple of the system. Like, this is what Bears fans should be excited for.
So my original one was pretty much what you said. Mine was play calling flow, right? Just to be able to have things that make sense and tie into each other. And play 1 makes sense with play 3, and play 5 goes to play 7. And so just to be different, I'll say offensive line play, where I'm ignoring left tackle for this part of it. But like to have, you saw this a little bit already. Drew Dahlman, who is a professional center, like definitely more in the run, better of a run blocker than a pass blocker, but someone who is very intellectual, very smart. And to tie that with a Joe Tooney, who is one of the best just tactical guards of our generation across multiple teams, multiple championship teams. Jonah Jackson, who we saw was a Pro Bowl caliber guard with Ben Johnson previously and only lost his job because he got Wally pipped, essentially. Hopefully Darnell Wright gets some.
What a verb. He got Wally pipped.
Got Wally pipped. For those who don't know, Wally pipped is you get hurt and you get your position taken. And then Darnell Wright at right tackle to unlock the potential that's there. So especially the interior, I'm just very excited about being able to hopefully not have a, however you want to put it, trash can, revolving door, turnstile, etc. at your guard positions. So, and center positions. That
can't be understated enough because you're going to go from what was inarguably one of the 5 worst offensive line watches in the league last year to something that should resemble like middle of the pack defense or middle of the pack offensive line. It's like, oh my God. Now, I think we all should be worried a little bit about left tackle, but that's a story for another time. Like, enjoy what the interior is, especially considering the disciples of which Dan Rauscher comes from with Sean Payton, and he never really had great tackles. It was always based off great interior development. So with Jairi Evans and I forget the other guard's name who was there in New Orleans for years, but it was always like these sorts of dudes that he was working with. And the tackles were like, who is the guy that signed with the Bears later on in his career? He was a small school tackle that became a Pro Bowler while being super average at things. Like such a strong interior. Oh, what was his name? The Bears signed him to a big money deal. Oh, this is gonna bug me.
I have no idea what you're talking about.
I'll figure it out. You go ahead and vamp it.
While you're doing that, we'll do our quite concerning. So this one's kind of our lower level, just something that we're a bit concerned about going into the season. And for me, and this is specific but not specific at the same time, it was that Caleb sack on 2nd and 3 where he held the ball for a little over 5 seconds. He had that dig over the middle. He turned down at least 2 different pass opportunities. And I'm not trying to be alarmist. That's why this is my concerning. This is not like anything crazy. It's just that is a bit of what we saw last year, and that is concerning. But the thing is that he was in the right spot. His feet, his base was right. His eyes were right. He just didn't rip the throw. And so you're just looking and hoping that, he continues to push the limit and not be scared of what could happen there, trusting his arm and trusting his receiver. For example, Rome, who your 6'2" gigantic man, Rome over there, who was open, or I think it was the Komet dig across the middle, that will be there. And so again, I'm a bit concerned about it, but not the end of the world.
I think I would probably echo that. It's hard for me. It's hard for me to not be concerned about it's quite concerning that the running backs are just what they are right now. Like I said, disjointed, clunky. Use whatever adjective you want to describe it. It doesn't fit. I still can't imagine they're going to get to opening night and this is like the group. Like, all right, like especially when I meant to mention it a little bit earlier. Do you remember how they treated Deuce? How Deuce Staley was talking to DeAndre on Hard Knocks?
Yeah, yeah.
It was not like glowing with praise. It was very like essentially stop being soft.
Yeah, essentially it was. I mean, and you took that as, or at least I took that as kind of rookie, like, Rook, toughen up, Rook. But is that kind of just how DeAndre's been?
It's hard to argue when he's consistently near the bottom of the league and expected yards overrun and in the negatives of it. Like I said, when he's in open field and what he can do with the ball in his hands, when he decides it's time to go make a play, sometimes it's inarguable what he can do. It's the actual ability of doing it on a consistent basis.
No, you're absolutely right. Okay. And then our last category before we get out of here, worried. You're worried. Yeah, I'm worried. This is just something that we are truly, truly just worried about. This could just be detrimental to the season, and I don't think it's going to get any better. Mine is what we've talked about it the entire time. It's left tackle. During this time period, the whatever week and a half-ish, 2 weeks, could Braxton take another step forward towards being closer to 100%? Yes. As my professional physical therapist opinion, do I think that will happen? No, because 2 weeks is not enough. Right, the time he had was not enough. It's just unfortunately training camp came when it did, and he didn't have time to fully rehab to get the muscle density, to get the muscle memory, to get the neuromuscular reeducation fully, the conditioning that he needed to play this position at a high level. And by high level, I mean football is won by percentages, and I mean like 5% here and there. So if he's at 80%. And you're going against an edge that's, that is 100, that matters. So for me, the left, and we saw that a lot of times in the preseason, it was at least 3 different times he overset to the left. His anchor's always been a problem, but especially now with this injury, he overset to the left, edge came inside, disrupted the play. That happened in the Chiefs game, for example. The play before Caleb forced the pass to Rome along the back of the end zone there. It was on second down. It would have been a touchdown. Oz was coming across the middle, but Braxton couldn't hold his water. So it is, I'm worried about it.
That'd be the one I would pick too. Like the only other one that it's not concerning yet, but the seeming consistent like miscommunication or whatever's going on with Rome and Caleb still. Like you heard a couple of days of reports where it got a little bit better and then they were on the same page and then it seemed to veer off again. And I'm not sure if this is like a Caleb thing or a Rome thing, and Rome maybe needing to be more dialed in the details or what it might need to be. But I think that's something worth keeping an eye on as we go forward, because this is supposed to be one of those preeminent wide receiver prospects that comes out and you can build your passing game through. And if that's what he's supposed to be, you can't be seeing miscommunications like this. Not on a consistent basis.
All right. Say something to end on a positive note, because at the end of the day, this should be a positive thing.
Yeah. Have expectations. It's okay to say the Bears should win 9 games this year. That's okay. You drafted this quarterback. You hired that head coach. You revamped the offensive line. You still have what should be a top half of the league defense. Factoring in all these things, you should have expectations for that team. No more moving goalposts and no more of this, oh, well, if things get nasty or gnarly and, X, week 4, week 5, time to phone up the tank and start losing. Like, no. Like, and if that's the case, I would probably venture a guess that means your quarterback's either hurt or he sucks. And either way, that's not good.
No, that would be no bueno. My positive thing, I guess, we'll end this with is, yeah, the Micah Parsons thing happened. Yeah, the Bears offense looked clunky against the Chiefs, but my silver lining to that, you can call it coping if you want to, but I think having it look like that when you have a coach like Ben Johnson that is as anal retentive as he is, who is as perfectionist as he is, the second coming of hopefully like the offensive version of the Sith Lord that we know as, the Bill Belichick angerness and all that jazz, that he's taking that into this time between, that game ending and the game against the Vikings and saying, this is not okay. And we are going to make it better any way that we can, every way that we can. So, it versus if they had just, traipsed down 13-play drive, we scored. There was, a penalty here and there. Maybe the fumble had still happened and you were able to overcome it. And it's like, all right, we're okay. No, you're not okay. There's problems, address it, get to week 1 with those problems fixed. So if anything, I'm going to say that's a silver lining. And you're going against a team. Ben Johnson's done well against the Vikings defense and the crazy mastermind that is their defensive coordinator. You're going against a rookie quarterback who we have very little knowledge of what's going on. They don't have Jordan Addison. They had to trade for the corpse that is Adam Thielen. Yes, he'll make catches, but if we can't guard Adam Thielen at this point in time and he's the one that's beating you, you have bigger problems.
If you can't guard Adam Thielen, that means something's very wrong with Kyler.
Exactly. Kyler is, like you said, about Caleb, he's either hurt or he sucks. And we know he doesn't suck. So at that point, his hamstring has been torn from the bone.
And that's what I'm saying. Have expectations. Don't move the goalpost. There's going to be weeks that they surprise you. There's going to, in both good and bad ways. But it's okay to have expectations of a 500+ season this year.
I fully expect them to win week 1. Like if they don't win week 1, I would be blown away and quite upset about it. Like not in a fan, like, oh man, we lost. Like you should.
So tune in week 2 Thursday, Bears fans.
It's gonna be great. All right, that's all we got for you today. Obviously, there's a decent amount of some negativity in there, but there's a lot of positivity. Like we said, there is good things coming around the corner. It just came off of a bunch of weirdness that was roster cuts and the Micah trade and a bunch of just weird things going on. But that's also the NFL for you. If you look at any team, there's weird things happening everywhere.
Yep. Irrefutably.
All right, everyone. Bear down.
Hey, what has 2 thumbs and hates Todd Packer? This guy.